School closures hurt children, period. Knowing the damage and learning loss school closures caused, it is surprising that the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky compromised her integrity and integrity of her agency by changing school reopening guidelines to kowtow to teachers' unions. H.R. 1273 seeks to find out how far Dr. Walensky went to collude with the teachers' unions to keep children locked out of schoolrooms. Teacher unions and the Democratic Party are hopelessly intertwined. Long gone are the days when teacher unions put teachers and students above their own political agenda. Today, these unions are more focused on furthering a radical leftist agenda than bettering our public school education system. As former National Education Association President Lily Garcia said in July 2020, the NEA's core business is not advocating for our members, but to further political stances. The American Federation of Teachers, AFT, is on the same trajectory. In 2020 and 2021, the union published 44 resolutions which demonstrated support for divisive social issues like critical race theory and gender politics. Additionally, AFT has increased its political spending by 400% since 2008, with 99% of these funds going to Democrats. There's no doubt about it. Teachers' unions are beholden to the radical socialist agenda, and Democrats are beholden to teachers' unions. It is these unions that held up school reopenings. To give credence to these anti-science measures, the AFT demanded and got the CDC to change its guidance on school reopenings. This policy change caused immense damage to students. In addition to learning loss, school closures and ensuring social isolation caused substantial mental and emotional trauma to young people. Throughout the pandemic, many reports warned that lockdowns were increasing the rates of depression among young people, but Democrats ignored these warnings and kept schools closed anyway. According to one report, emergency room visits for young girls who attempted suicides were 51% higher in the spring of 2021 than 2019. Let me repeat that. Suicide attempts were 51% higher in spring of 2021 and 2019, and yet Democrats and unions decided to keep schools closed anyway. These kinds of mental health issues don't just go away. They will likely be long-lasting. The American Academic of Pediatrics and the Children's Hospital Association and the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry declared adolescents' mental health is a national emergency. Finally, the school closures hurt most the schools that serve minority and low-income communities. According to one estimate, K-12 students who suffered from school closures will lose 3% of their income over their lifetime. These policies are hurting the very communities that Democrats always claim they want to help the most. At least we now know where Democrats' parties lay. And to be honest with you, I've known this where Democrats' parties lay for the last 40 years, and that's why 40 years ago I left the Democratic Party to become a Republican. But we aren't here today merely casting blame. We're here to demand accountability so we can ensure that teachers' unions can never do again what they've done the last 2 years, use federal agencies to hold schools hostage. I don't object to the substitute amendment because it merely makes a technical change to the underlying resolution, but it's imperative that we support this resolution and measure to help us conduct our basic oversight responsibilities. I urge my colleagues to reject the Democrats' efforts to sweep the Biden administration's actions under the rug and instead vote to report the underlying resolution favorable to the House floor. I yield back.